My name is Sophia. I'm 32 years old, and I'm a mother to a beautiful 6-year-old boy named Liam. For the past 5 years, I've been married to David, or at least I thought I was. That night still haunts me. David looked at me with a coldness I hadn't seen before, and said words I'll never forget. "You should have married Liam's real dad." Then, without another word, he walked out the door and left me standing there, alone, confused, and shattered. I remember the way the silence filled the room after he left. It was deafening. For a moment I couldn't move. My mind spun with questions and pain. How could he say that? How could he just walk away without explaining? What did that mean for us? For Liam? For me? Before that night, things between David and me had been strained but manageable. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but I believed we were building something strong. I loved him. I wanted to believe he loved me too. But all of that was called into question in one devastating sentence. Liam was asleep upstairs, unaware that his father, the man he called Dad, was about to leave our lives forever. I sat down on the couch, tears streaming down my face, trying to hold myself together for him. The truth was, David's words were rooted in a secret I'd kept for years. Liam's real father, Michael, was someone I'd loved long before David ever came into my life. I'd never told David the whole story. Partly out of fear, partly out of shame, and partly because I thought I could protect my family by hiding the truth. But that night, everything unraveled. David's anger wasn't just about betrayal, it was about loss, confusion, and heartbreak. And as he walked away, so did the future I'd imagined. I was left alone with Liam, the silence between us heavier than ever. I didn't know how to explain to him why his father had left, or how to pick up the pieces of my broken heart. That night marked the beginning of a journey I never wanted to take, a journey of pain, truth, and ultimately healing. Before the storm that night, life with David and Liam seemed, at least on the surface, to be what I had always hoped for. David was a kind man, attentive and patient, traits that had drawn me to him when we first met. We married with dreams of building a life filled with love and security. Together, we created a home where Liam could grow up happy and safe. But beneath the calm surface, there was a secret I carried alone. A secret about Liam's true father, Michael. Michael was someone I had loved deeply during a difficult chapter in my life. We were young, unsure, and the timing was wrong. Circumstances pulled us apart before we could build a life together. When I met David, my world began to shift. He offered stability and a chance for a fresh start. I wanted to believe that the past was behind me. But the past doesn't disappear so easily. Liam was a constant reminder. He was the living proof of a chapter I had never fully closed. I told David that Liam was mine, yes, but I never shared the full truth. I feared losing David's love and the life we were building. I convinced myself that protecting my secret was protecting my family. Yet the tension grew. David noticed the cracks, the guarded conversations, my hesitation when his questions got too close to the truth. He sensed there was something I wasn't telling him, but I was too scared to reveal it. The strain began to wear on us. Arguments sparked over small things. Silences stretched longer. The warmth we once shared became cold distance. Michael, on the other hand, was a ghost in our lives. He occasionally called to check on Liam, sent gifts on birthdays, but he was never truly part of our daily lives. I often wondered what would happen if David ever found out. Would he understand? Would he forgive, or would he walk away? That question haunted me, until the night David finally confronted me. He wasn't angry at first, he was broken. He told me he felt betrayed, not just by the secret, but by the fact that I hadn't trusted him enough to tell the truth. When he said you should have married Liam's real dad, it wasn't just an accusation. It was pain. It was loss. It was the shattering of a dream we both held, and then he left. Without goodbye. Without looking back. I was left with Liam, a broken heart, and a future I no longer recognized. The days after David's departure were some of the darkest I've ever faced. I was left alone with Liam, trying to hold the pieces of our shattered family together, while my own heart felt like it was breaking apart. David's words echoed in my mind constantly. You should have married Liam's real dad. They cut deeper than any knife. I tried to reach out to him, to understand why he left without a word, but all my calls and messages went unanswered. At home, I struggled to explain to Liam why his father was gone. He didn't understand. He asked, "Where's Daddy? Why won't he come back?" My heart broke every time I saw the confusion and sadness in his eyes. Meanwhile, my relationship with Michael became complicated. He wanted to be involved in Liam's life, but respected the boundaries David and I had set, though they were fragile at best. David's absence made everything harder. I faced judgment from family and friends who didn't understand the situation fully. Whispers of "what did she do wrong" and "why did he leave" stung deeply. I was overwhelmed with guilt and loneliness. I wondered if I had failed Liam by not protecting his family. Meanwhile, David's silence weighed heavily on me. Was he angry, hurt, resentful? Did he blame me entirely? I grappled with my own feelings of shame and regret. I wished I could rewind time and make different choices. Yet, I also realized that keeping secrets had only deepened the fractures in our family. One day I received a message from David. It was cold and brief. "I need time. I don't know if I can forgive this." His words felt like both a closing door and a small window. Hope, maybe, or finality. I knew the path ahead would be difficult. But for Liam's sake and mine, I had to find a way forward. After days of unanswered calls and silent nights, I realized that waiting for David to come back was only tearing me apart. I had to stop living in limbo, for Liam and for myself. I reached out to my closest friend, Emma. She listened without judgment as I poured out the pain, confusion, and guilt that had weighed on me for years. Emma encouraged me to seek professional help, and I finally agreed. Therapy was terrifying at first. Facing the truth, admitting my mistakes, and confronting my fears made me feel vulnerable, but it was also liberating. With each session, I learned to forgive myself, to understand that my past didn't define my worth, that being honest with myself and others was the first step toward healing. I also decided it was time to be completely honest with David. I wrote him a letter, not to blame or beg, but to share my truth, my regrets, and my hopes for the future. In the letter, I told him about my struggles, my love for Liam, and my desire to rebuild our family, if he was willing. Weeks passed before David responded. His message was cautious but open. He said he needed time to process everything but was willing to meet. When we finally sat down face to face, the air was thick with emotion. Tears, apologies, and honest conversations filled the room. For the first time in a long while, we listened to each other. It wasn't easy. There were moments of anger and doubt. But there were also moments of hope. Together, we began the slow process of rebuilding trust. We attended couples therapy. We made new promises, not just to each other, but to Liam. David and I learned that love isn't perfect. It's messy. It's painful. But it can also be healing. I realized that no matter what happened, my family was worth fighting for. Months passed, and with each day, the wounds began to heal, slowly but surely. David and I continued our journey together, navigating the complexities of forgiveness and trust. It wasn't perfect. There were setbacks, moments when the past threatened to overshadow our present. But we chose to face them head-on. Liam remained our shared priority. We focused on creating a loving environment for him, one where he felt safe and cherished. David and I worked to become better parents and partners. I learned to let go of the shame that had held me captive for so long. Instead, I embraced vulnerability and honesty. My relationship with Michael evolved too. Though he remained a presence in Liam's life, I set clear boundaries to protect our family's stability. Through therapy and open communication, David and I rebuilt our marriage on a foundation stronger than before. We learned to listen, not just to respond, but to truly understand. Most importantly, I rediscovered myself. I reclaimed my voice, my confidence, and my hope. I'm still far from perfect, but I'm proud of the woman I've become. Looking ahead, I'm hopeful. Hopeful for a future filled with love, forgiveness, and growth. And to anyone listening to my story, know this: your past does not define your future. Healing is possible, love is possible, and you are never alone. Healing is not a straight path. It is a winding road, full of ups and downs. Yet every step forward is a victory. David and I have learned that love is a daily choice. It's choosing to forgive, to listen, to hold on, even when the road is rough. Liam grows surrounded by love, by the strength of two parents willing to overcome their past. I've also found my own strength beyond motherhood, rediscovering passions, friendships, and dreams I once shelved. Some days are still hard, Memories linger, fears arise, but I greet those days with courage, knowing they do not define me. My story is no longer about pain, it is about resilience, about hope, about the power of new beginnings. I share my journey because I want others to know, you are not alone. You can heal, you can love again. The future is bright, and I'm ready to embrace it, one day at a time. Looking back, I see how far I've come. The pain, the silence, the heartbreak, they didn't break me, they shaped me. I learned that healing isn't linear. Some days I feel strong and hopeful. Others, I'm overwhelmed by sadness or fear, and that's okay. I found strength in vulnerability. Sharing my story with trusted friends, family, and even strangers has been liberating. It reminded me that I'm not alone, and neither is anyone else who's faced pain. I discovered the power of self-compassion. Instead of blaming myself, I began treating myself with kindness, recognizing that mistakes don't define me. My relationship with David deepened. We communicate more honestly now. We support each other through challenges. We celebrate small victories. I also became passionate about helping others. I volunteer at support groups. I speak about my experience hoping to inspire others to find their voice. I'm still learning, still growing, but I face the future with courage, knowing that no matter what comes, I have the tools to navigate it. To anyone listening who's hurting, you are stronger than you think. Your story matters. Healing is possible. The future is uncertain, and that's what makes it beautiful. I don't know what lies ahead, but I'm no longer afraid to face it. I've learned to celebrate the small moments, the quiet mornings, the unexpected laughter, the warmth of a hand to hold. These fragments of joy are the foundation of my new life. I've discovered that hope is not a destination but a daily choice. A choice to believe in better days, even when the night feels endless. Love has returned to my life, not as a perfect fairy tale, but as a real, imperfect partnership. With someone who accepts me fully, scars and all. Together, we build a life based on trust, respect, and compassion. We embrace our flaws and learn from them. I continue to share my story, hoping it will light the way for others navigating their own darkness. My past will always be a part of me, but it no longer defines me. Every day, I choose to move forward with courage and grace. And as I walk into the unknown, I carry with me the lessons of resilience, hope, and love. Because life is not about avoiding the storm, it's about learning to dance in the rain. As I reflect on my journey, I realize that my story no longer belongs just to me. It belongs to every person who has faced hardship and chosen to rise. I have become a beacon for others, sharing my experience openly, not for sympathy but for empowerment. I speak at events, contribute to podcasts, and write about trauma, resilience, and hope. Each time I share, I feel lighter, as if I am freeing myself and giving strength to others. Legacy is not about grand gestures, but about small acts of courage, saying I'm here, telling someone you're not alone. Holding a hand when the world feels too heavy. David and I continue to build a life filled with honesty, respect, and love. Though we have scars, we face our future together. I've learned to embrace my scars as marks of survival, not as weaknesses. My past is a chapter in my story, not the whole book. To anyone reading or listening, your voice matters. Your pain matters. Your story deserves to be told. Don't be afraid to shine your light, because sometimes your light is exactly what someone else needs to find their way. Standing here today, I realize how much my life has transformed. The pain, the secrets, the heartbreak, they no longer define me. Instead, they are the foundation of my strength. The road to healing was long and winding. There were moments I wanted to give up, to retreat into the shadows of my past. But I chose to keep moving forward, one step at a time. I've learned that healing is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about embracing every part of yourself, the light and the darkness. David and I have built a new relationship, one rooted in honesty and vulnerability. We communicate openly, sharing our fears and hopes. We support each other's growth. Beyond my marriage, I've rediscovered passions and dreams I had set aside. I write, I volunteer, and I connect with others who share similar stories. Giving back has become a source of healing and purpose. Helping others find their voice reminds me of my own strength. The future is unknown, and that excites me. I no longer fear what I cannot control. Instead, I welcome the adventure of the unknown. Sometimes I pause to appreciate the small moments, the sunrise, a child's laughter, a friend's kindness. These moments remind me that life is beautiful, even amidst struggle. I've learned to love myself fiercely, to honor my journey and the woman I am becoming. To anyone listening or reading, know this: your story is powerful. Your pain is real. Your healing is possible. Step into your new horizons with courage. Embrace the unknown, and trust that your light can guide the way.